I lay this down here? I'm sorry? Can I lay this on here?
Yeah, we can put it here. I'll put it under the paper.
All right.
Thank you. Me voy a robar esta aquí. Ok. Te voy a dar esto.
Okay, dale.
Voy a...
Entonces, ¿este es todo el tuyo? Ok, entonces dividamos a pedir.
Párese aquí.
Compañera, ¿qué perdí?
Párese aquí, compañero. Aquí al ladito. Aquí al ladito en el suelo. En medio. El de Mohammed.
Ok. Si quieres nada más entonces el de Abolish Ice. Sí, es que no... Eso fue todo una locura.
Quizás cantamos y ¿estás listo?
Listo. Dale, compañera. No, están en mi chaqueta. Ya me cansé. Pero ni ha empezado y ya.
¿Listos? ¿Estamos listos?
Eso, vamos, compañeras de lucha.
When I say defund, you say ICE. Defund.
ICE.
Defund.
ICE.
When I say defund, you say ICE. Defund.
ICE.
Defund.
ICE.
¿Qué queremos? Justicia.
Yeah.
¿Cuándo?
Ahora.
¿Qué queremos?
Justicia.
¿Cuándo?
Ahora.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
When I say defund, you say ICE. Defund.
ICE.
Defund.
ICE.
When do we want it?
No.
When do we want it?
No.
¿Pasado mañana?
No.
¿Al próximo año?
No.
¿Cuándo?
Ahora.
¿Cuándo?
Ahora.
¿Cuándo?
Ahora.
El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. When I say people, you say power. People,
Power.
people.
Power.
When I say people, you say power. People,
Power.
people.
Power.
Defund,
ICE.
defund.
ICE.
People, people.
Power.
Se puede.
Sí se puede.
Buenos días, familias. Buenos días. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. My name is Lydia Walther Rodriguez, and I am the Chief of Organizing and Leadership with CASA. Mi nombre es Lidia Walter Rodríguez y soy la encargada de organizar y liderazgo con CASA. Estamos aquí el día de hoy en la iglesia de St. Mark's y le damos gracias y gratitud a este espacio tan sagrado. We are here today in the Church of St. Mark's in Washington, D.C., and we gave gratitude and love for this sacred space. We are gathered here because we are outraged. We are enraged, but we are a community that is surrounded and will continue to fight with love. Estamos aquí porque estamos frustrados. Estamos luchando y estamos agonizando todo el terror que estamos sintiendo debajo de esta administración. Pero les digo, compañeros, que también estamos aquí como una comunidad que va a seguir a luchar con amor, porque el amor va a ganar. ¿Se puede?
Sí se puede.
¿Se puede?
Sí se puede.
We are here today with immigrant communities, Black families, Indigenous people, and working class communities, neighbors, faith leaders, and organizers, all demanding and standing up against this system that is rooted in hate. This system that rather invest in enforcing violence against us through enforcement, rather than invest in us with social services for our well-being. And we are here to say no more. Estamos aquí porque sabemos que este sistema tiene origen de odio y quiere invertir dinero para enforzar violencia contra nosotros, en vez de invertir a nuestras familias y invertir en servicios sociales para poder que nosotros como comunidad podemos llegar a ese próximo nivel económico. Estamos aquí para decir no más. No más. No más, ni $1 más invertido a ICE. We are here to say not one more dollar invested in ICE. Say no more. No more. We know that ICE is racially profiling our people, separating our families, killing our people in detention centers, and killing our brothers and sisters in the streets who are standing up and fighting for us. Este sistema de ICE está matando a nuestras familias en centros de detención, está separando familias, terrorizando nuestra comunidad y encima está matando a nuestros vecinos y vecinas que están luchando contra esta opresión que está pasando. Digan no más. No más. Say no more. No more. How many more people, how much more blood has to be shed? ¿Cuánta sangre tiene que derramar en este país hasta que digamos no más? Until we say no more. Congress has the power this week in the Senate to vote down a bill that intends to increase the budget of the Department of Homeland Security and ICE. Shame. 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 Shame that they would consider even increasing a budget that continues to terrorize and kill our people. It is in your hands, Congress, and we are looking at you to vote no this week. Le quiero pasar el micrófono a mi hermano de movimiento y colega de Popular Democracy, Isaías.
Gracias, Lidia. ¿Cómo está el pueblo? Jamás será vencido, el pueblo unido jamás será vencido. Así es, compañeros, y aquí estamos y no nos vamos, porque como organizamos, aquí estamos y nadie nos echa, compañeros. Es una alegría estar aquí con ustedes. Mi nombre es Isaías Guerrero. My name is Isaías Guerrero, and I'm proud to be an immigrant. Give it up if you're proud to be an immigrant. Un aplauso si ustedes están orgullosos de ser inmigrantes. Así es, compañeros, porque lo más hermoso es pasar fronteras, es nadar ríos, es dejar a seres queridos atrás, porque imaginamos un mejor futuro. Y ese poder nadie nos lo va a quitar. No importa si es la migra, no importa si es la policía. Aquí estamos creando comunidad. Y nosotros somos los únicos que vamos a crear ese camino juntos hacia la libertad. Aquí tenemos personas de fe, tenemos gente de la comunidad inmigrante, comunidades y organizaciones que están listas para respaldarnos en cualquier paso. Así que no tengamos miedo. Sin papeles, sin miedo. Sin papeles, sin miedo. So we are here standing and creating sacred ground because we, together as a people, are ensuring that we create a protective shield inspired by God and the goddess of justice, so that our people, our immigrant people, and our democracy are protected and are not taken away from us.
That's right.
So today, as Lydia said, is an important moment because funds, even more money, is being proposed to be given to ICE. We're talking about 400 million on enforcement, 370 million on detention, on top of the 42 billion that was already approved from last year.
Shame.
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 But here together and across the country, there's hundreds of actions happening in members of Congress's office to say, not $1, and defund and dismantle ICE. Say it with me. Defund and dismantle. Defund and dismantle. Defund and dismantle.
Defund.
And dismantle. That's right. Because we have shown again and again in Minnesota, in the streets of Washington, D.C., in the streets of Los Angeles, of Chicago, that when we come together and we organize, we open up our pews, our neighborhoods, our bedrooms, so that we can hide, we can organize, and we can push back against these attacks, we are successful. We know Bobino, who was the head of DHS, now got basically kicked out of his role because of what a lousy job that he was doing. That was thanks to the noise and the organizing that we've done. And so we are winning. We're taking small steps towards freedom. And today we're gonna hear from amazing, inspiring community leaders that will guide us on where the light towards freedom is telling us to go. Dale.
Muchas gracias, Isa. Un aplauso, familia. When I say people, you say power. People. Power. People. Power. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. Before we get started with today's program, we want to be grounded here in the space with prayer. And we want to ask Reverend Christopher from AME and CAN to join us in that initial prayer. Reverend Christopher, we hear you.
Would you bow your heads to the God of many names and to the specific way in which you center yourself to a higher being? We're asking that your peace would fall upon us, that your power would rise up in us to stand against injustices so that justice can roll down, and that congressmen would hear our voice and our cry as we continue to lament those who've been terrorized, those who've lost their lives. We thank you for the opportunity for organizations and like-minded individuals to continue to stand against these injustices, against these evils, against this wickedness, as because we believe that we are greater in numbers and collectivity than those that are trying to divide us. So help us now. Help us, oh God. And in the Christian tradition, offer this prayer in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you so much, Reverend. And now that we've opened up this sacred space of justice, we're very excited to continue sharing our stories and really emphasizing the impact of ICE and what it's doing and how it's destroying our communities. And so today is going to be a day of sorrow and joy, because we understand the pain of our people, but we are also here to transform that pain into people power, because it is people that maintain this democracy going, and it is people that will actually continue moving us forward.
That's right.
So now I have the pleasure to introduce an amazing leader that came all the way from Pennsylvania, from our sister organization, Make the Road Pennsylvania. His name is Robert T. Tate, and he's a leader from Pennsylvania who's been organizing in his communities to build power across immigrants and Black communities, and has an important message to share with us today.
The people united will never be defeated. The people
United will never be defeated.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Robert T. Tate.
I'm a resident of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I'm here today because our communities across the United States are being torn apart, and lawmakers, including Senator John Fetterman, have the power to stop it. Except for those who was landed here, was stolen. Their land was stolen. We all are immigrants. I know I am. They brought me over here. I didn't ask to come, and nor did my parents. However, every person deserves to grow up in a stable community where neighbors are disappearing overnight. Across this nation, families who have lived here for decades, who work, who pay taxes, who contribute to their communities, and are being forced to leave. This is not accidental. It is a result of the deliberate policies of choices, and those choices have turned entire neighborhoods into zones of fear. Communities are being terrorized by a rogue force pretending to be law enforcement, and when the American citizens, neighbors who have believed in looking out for each other, try to protect the documents, and then defend the people around them, they are met with brutality. They are beaten. They are fired on with so-called less lethal bullets. Some have been permanently injured. Some have had their lives taken, not for committing crimes, but for refusing to be silent. This is not just an act of deportation. It is an act of attack on all of us. Children across this country are growing up traumatized, not because of instability, but in their homes, but because of fear. Federal government has chosen fear and force and policy tools. Senator Fetterman, neutrality is not leadership. Silence is not compassion. It is unacceptable to support budgets that would give ICE more money and power, and communities are already being terrorized. Pouring more money into agencies that already operate without transparency or accountability does not create a safe environment. It multiplies the harm. More funding, more communities pushed to be a breaking point, and more death. It rewards abusive practices instead of correcting them. Until ICE is abolished or fundamentally held accountable, expanding this budget is an endorsement of the damage being done in our neighborhoods every day. So I ask you for waiting for the structure to come to Pennsylvania. Are you waiting for death, trauma to reach your constituents before you decide enough is enough? The question is no longer whether the danger is real. The question is whether you will continue to enable it. Senator Fetterman, families do not need sympathy. They need action. You must vote on the demand that the DHS and ICE be removed from the budget. We need to claw back billions that have already been allocated for ICE, not sending them more money to continue terrorizing our neighborhoods. Yesterday, we was in one of your offices across PA to let you know our view, and yet you closed every one. We mobilized thousands of people on the phone. Calls to your office to share this simple message. Do your job, represent your constituents, and vote no.
Defund! 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 I want to now bring up to the stage Free DC's Executive Director, Geya. Free DC! Free DC! Free DC! Free DC! Free DC! Free DC!
Thank you, Lydia. Standing here this morning in the 6th month of a federal occupation of DC. That's the context in which we gather. How many people? Yeah, exactly. Shame. How many people here are planning to go visit Congress after we leave today? I want to hear from you for a minute. I want to hear from you. Can you be a little louder? How many people are going to tell Congress what we think after we leave here this morning? Friends, it has been a terrorizing 6 months. Warrantless searches, terrorizing families, human rights abuses everywhere. And we are here today to gather before we go talk to Congress at this moment that could finally be a turning point for them. They could finally decide to take a stand. They could finally decide that they are willing to do what we, the people, are willing to do, which is believe our eyes. Believe what we see. Understand that the state is killing people. The state is murdering people. And they have a job to do, right? That body has a job to do. And we are getting near done asking them politely to do it. Right? They have power. They have power. They have the power to not comply. There are a lot of funding bills right now in front of Congress, right? They can choose to stop funding things. They can choose to stop funding things. So yes, not another dollar for ICE, but also let's just say not another dollar until there is some accountability. Not another dollar until they dissolve DHS, the entire department. Why does this exist as a department? Not another dollar until they defund and dismantle ICE within it. Not another dollar until they close the camps. They are keeping people in camps. Not another dollar until they bring everyone back home. And I want to say that overnight, things shifted a little bit. Things shifted a little bit overnight, right? So Kristi Noem is now saying, yes, she stood in front of us and she lied, but she did that because Stephen Miller told her to. She did that because Donald Trump told her to. And so we are at a moment where we can go up to Congress and say, listen, we will have your back. If you are done with Noem, we will have your back as you impeach her. But also, stop going along with this until the architect is gone. Stop going along with this until Stephen Miller is gone. This is a person whose vision of America is really honestly that people of European descent are the only people who belong here. Is that what we think? No. Is that what Congress believes? No. I don't think, see, we were less sure. We are less sure. We are less sure that Congress does not embrace this white nationalist vision of the world that Stephen Miller shares. And the reason we are not sure is because they have not taken a stand as a body, and they have not said that they are not going to allow this to continue, this terror to continue. They have to take a stand. It is time for us to go tell them, we will have your backs if you take this stand, because we know we have power, right? We have power. We have power, not just as voters, not just as people politely asking them what to do. We have power as consumers. We will shut down their funders. We have power as workers. We will shut down this city. We have power, and we are voters, we are jurors, we are consumers, we are workers, we are taxpayers, and we will use that power. So the moment has come. This is a turning point. I'm so grateful to you all being here today. 3 of the 4 would have been here except for a family emergency, co-founders of Free DC are here today. So many of our members are here today because this ICE is not going to stop us, and that ICE is not going to stop us. Free DC!
Free DC!
Yes, ma'am. If we don't get it,
shut it down.
We don't get it.
Shut it down.
We don't get it.
Shut it down.
We don't get it.
Shut it down.
If we don't get it.
Shut it down. All right, thank you so much, Keja, and give it up for Free DC. Woo! So as Keja said, it's so important to lift up the power of the workers. And in this case, we're gonna lift up the voice of domestic workers. We're so excited to have here on stage the Executive Director of Care in Action, who is Jen Stowe, who represents thousands of domestic workers. Esta es la directora de la Alianza de Trabajadoras Domésticas en Acción. Entonces, que vivan las trabajadoras y trabajadores domésticos. Thank you so much, Jen.
Thank you. Good morning, you all. Good morning. I am fired up and so happy to be with you all today. I'm grateful for sharing this space, and I'm coming to you on behalf of Care in Action. My name is Jen Stowe. I'm coming to you from Richmond, Virginia, but I'm very much a daughter of DC, Southeast DC to be exact. At Care in Action, we're the political home for millions of domestic workers and women of color who are nannies, house cleaners, care workers, and caregivers in this country. We are women of color, we are immigrant women, Black women, we're loving mothers, and we hold up our families and we lead our communities. And we know firsthand what this administration is doing and the harm that it's doing, and we know firsthand that this administration is tearing families apart. Immigrant care workers and caregivers show up every single day for work that is both essential and it's demanding. 1 in 3 home care workers and 1 in 5 child care workers are immigrants, and they lift people from their beds, they help them get dressed, prepare meals, and offer comfort when people are scared, lonely, or in pain. That work requires so much skill and patience, and they do this even as our communities face attacks. Fear and instability is impacting the lives of immigrant care workers and the families they serve. Workers are avoiding public transportation, requesting rides to feel safe, even when it means they lose income because they're doing so. Workers are quitting their jobs that require them to do anything outside of the house. They're being fired, and ripping this critical workforce away from families, it not only affects the workers, but it affects the families they care for. It increases workforce shortages, it increases costs, it leaves children, seniors, and disabled loved ones without care. In Minnesota and across the country, federal immigration agents are showing up at schools, in daycares, and in parks. The very places we think and believe that families, caregivers, and kids should be safe, right? Right. This has created an impossible reality and situation for caregivers and the women we serve and the families they serve. So they're expected to show up every day, provide stability and safety for the children and seniors in their care, while their own lives are being marked by fear and uncertainty. One worker even told us, exactly, shame, shame. One worker even told us, the fear we feel is worse than the pandemic. At least then we were not hunted. Getting ICE out of our communities and calling for not one more dollar to ICE and ending the violent surge and horror being waged on us isn't just about money. It's about centering people and our needs. Our communities are being wrecked. This funding will only lead to more kids being used as bait, more fathers being snatched up, more mothers being separated from their families, and more people being killed. It's time to center families. Instead of tripling ICE's budget and wasting billions of taxpayer dollars on deportation and chaos in our cities, Congress should be focusing on lowering costs, making our lives more affordable, helping families afford care for our loved ones, and making sure that we can afford and access health care. We know this. We're going to keep organizing and fighting together, and we have to keep taking care of each other. Appreciate you all taking the time.
El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido.
¿Se puede?
¡Sí se puede!
¿Se puede?
¡Sí se puede!
I want to welcome a CASA member from Maryland, Mohammed, who is going to share his story of how ICE has terrorized his family. Mohammed?
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Muhammad Al-Ghali, and I was born and raised in Maryland. I'm the proud son of an immigrant, like so many people in this country. Right. But today, I'm also the heartbroken son of a fearless woman, my mother, Rabiatu Kuyate, who was unjustly deported. Right, shame. I'm standing here to tell her story because every single day it weighs on my heart and because silence is no longer an option.
That's right.
My mother, Rabiatu Kuyate, a proud immigrant from Sierra Leone who has called this country for more than 30 years. In the 1990s, she fled the brutal civil war and severe abuse in West Africa, surviving torture and persecution because of her family's political opposition, experiences no human should have to ever endure. She came here seeking safety, dignity, and the chance to rebuild her life. And rebuild she did. For more than 25 years, my mother served Maryland as a licensed practical nurse.
That's right.
Caring for...
That's right.
She cared for patients with unwavering compassion, and she even worked on the front lines during COVID, and she contacted the virus twice. Yet, like millions of immigrants, she remained trapped in an outdated, complex, and cruel immigration system, waiting on a pending application. Then in July, during what should have been a routine annual ICE check-in, everything changed. I watched in disbelief as agents handcuffed her, shackled her hands, feet, and waist, and took her away. Right. In that moment, my heart shattered. I felt defeated. I felt like I failed my mother, and that moment still replays my mind. She spent months in the immigration detention center, and even after a U.S. immigration judge ruled that she could not be deported to Sierra Leone because of a credible threat of torture, ICE ignored that protection. Instead, they deported her to Ghana, a country she had never even visited. Yeah. A viral video showed her being dragged across the floor by officials screaming, "I'm not going," as they pulled her on her stomach toward her van. She was injured and traumatized, separated from her medications and her family, and then forced onward to Sierra Leone. Still in pain, still shaken, and still carrying the terror of being ripped away from the people who she loves. This cruelty is not accidental, it is deliberate, it is funded, and it is sustained by billions of dollars poured into ICE. The CBP and DHS agencies given unchecked power to tear families apart without mercy. As this administration advances the largest deportation effort in history, every loophole is exploited, including third country deportations, and every dollar Congress approves fuels racial profiling, family separation, wrongful detention, and the reckless endangerment of human lives. Across this country, thousands of families are trapped in the very same nightmare. This is not abstract policy, this is life and death, it is personal, and it must stop now.
Right now.
Not one more tax dollar should go to DHS, ICE, or CBP while they continue to violate human rights and destroy families.
Not one more. Not one
more. Senate Democrats and leaders in Congress must stand firm and use their power to refuse funding for these agencies until their inhumane practices end. It is time to defund the deportation machine, protect our communities, and reunite families like mine.
That's right. That's right.
Mm-hmm. And we will always fight relentlessly for my mother, for every family torn apart, and until justice is done. Thank you.
Right. That's right. That's right. Mohammed, hermano, el pueblo está contigo. Mohammed, hermano, el pueblo está contigo. Mohammed, hermano, el pueblo está contigo. We now want to introduce our Congressman, Glenn Ivey, who is here today championing with us.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for being here today. Let's hear it for CASA, doing outstanding work. We go back 25 years, but really came back together again for the Kilmar fight. Are you all part of that too? Yeah, we got to make sure we turn that around, because it's not just Kilmar. There's stories like Muhammad's all across the country. We've got to make sure we do everything we can to fight back against that. But Muhammad, thank you so much for your powerful words, right? Didn't he do great? I just got back from Minnesota about a week and a half ago, and we went out there with Pramila Jayapal, Ilhan Omar. Yeah. You know what? Did you all see what happened with Ilhan Omar last night? Isn't that incredible? Tell you what though, when the guy came up, big guy, right? Ilhan's like 5'2" maybe. He came up and he sprayed her with whatever that was, and then she stood at him and she went right towards him, and it scared the S out of him. Did you see how he backed up? He started running. That's how it works. When you take the bully on, they back up and run, right? We got to fight the bullies. It's making a difference. I got to tell you too, I was so impressed with what they're doing out in Minnesota, the strategy that they're using, the discipline that they have. Because you know Trump sent those folks out there. He keeps trying to provoke some kind of riot, trying to provoke them to violence, trying to provoke them into just, burning something down. But they have stayed disciplined, and he can't yank their chain. And that discipline and that leadership is part of what's really turned this around. And thank you for you all being so disciplined and for your leadership too, because when we do this across the country, that's what's going to turn the ship around, right? We had 7 million people come out for the No Kings rally. That was a big step, but this is the turning point now. I think from Free DC, they were just talking about this a minute ago. When they killed Alex, everything changed. I'm not saying that's how it should have been. All of this should have changed before then, but this is the moment now, right? This is our chance right now. They changed on Capitol Hill. Even Trump changed his tone. After they figured out that Noam had been lying and they couldn't back out of it because of the videos, he moved her out. But then he brought in Homeland, and he's even worse than she is, right? That's not a step in the right direction. We gotta get all of those guys out of there, move all of them, impeach Noam, let's get this done, let's remove that leadership, and let's start that thing from scratch, right? We've gotta do it. We've got to do it. And I was so pleased to hear a minute ago when you all said you're going to go to Congress. Yep. We need y'all there, right? We need the message you're going to bring. The Senate's in session. This is a pivotal week for them. You all bringing that message can really make a difference. And tell you what, it's not just Democrats, there are Republicans that could be moved on this too. You're starting to hear them talk about, well, maybe that wasn't such a good thing, or maybe we need... That's the first step. You all keep the pressure on, keep working, keep fighting. You're going to make a difference. And thanks for all that you're doing. Everybody, keep up the great work. The fight continues. The struggle will never end. The dream will never die. Keep it up. Have a great one.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you, Representative.
The people united
will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. That's right, y'all. I'm so excited because Representative Ivey is my representative, so I'm very lucky and I'm proud to have representatives like him, and we need to stand up and make sure that everybody in Congress has that same level of courage and says no to the ICE funding and no DHS funding. So not $1, not $1, not $1, not $1. Así es. All right, compas, so now I am very inspired to present another leader from CASA. Her name is Emilia, and she's going to share with us a very powerful testimony. But before that, I want to make sure that we also honor all of those that have passed away because of this type of funding, because of this type of machines that are taking away democracy. So también queremos honrar hoy todas esas personas que han sido asesinadas por este sistema cruel. Aquí vemos algunas de esas personas. We see some of this here. So when I say their name, we're going to say presente, presente, presente. So make sure that you lift them up. And when I say their name, we're going to say presente, 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 okay? So Maxim Cherniak. Presente, presente, presente. Lorenzo Antonio Batres Vargas. Presente, presente, presente. Abelardo Avellaneda Delgado. Presente, presente, presente. Keith Porter. Presente, presente, presente. Mary Ange Blaze. Presente, presente, presente. Isidro Pérez. Presente, presente, presente. Alex Preti. Presente, presente, presente. René Nicole Good. Presente, presente, presente. Estela Ramos Batten. Presente, presente, presente. Santos Reyes Vanegas. Presente, presente. En Non Ngok Nguyen. Y tantos más, and so many others that are in our hearts, because when we say their name, they become the power that will guide us to continue fighting. So let's not forget who we're fighting for. Let's not forget that they're present with us and that their spirit will always inspire us. And so with that, I want to pass it to Emilia to share part of her story. Bravo, Emilia. Vamos, compañero.
Sí. Buenos días a todos. Mi nombre es Emilia y estoy aquí hoy como madre devastada por la pérdida de mi hijo Elías.
Good morning, my name is Emilia, and I am here today angered and devastated because of the loss and death of my son Elías.
Quiero hablarles sobre Elías, el hijo que crié con todo mi amor y esperanza.
I want to talk to you about my son Elías, the son that I raised with so much love and hope.
Quiero que entiendan lo que ICE le hizo, lo que le robaron a mi familia.
I want you to understand what ICE did to him, how they robbed our family of his love.
Agentes de ICE lo detuvieron a Elías a solo una milla de su cita de diálisis que le salvaba la vida.
ICE detained Elías 1 mile from his life-saving dialysis appointment.
Y quiero decirles también que a él le habían hecho una cirugía de corazón abierto.
He had recently undergone open heart surgery before ICE detained him.
Y él les dijo cuando lo agarraron que lo dejaran ir porque él estaba enfermo.
He pleaded to them to release him because he was so ill.
Y en una milla del hospital en Washington, D.C., ICE lo detuvo sin piedad, sin importar su salud ni su vida.
1 mile from the hospital he was supposed to attend in D.C., ICE still detained him without care of his life and safety.
Lo arrojaron al suelo y lo dejaron traumatizado.
They threw him to the ground and left him on the floor, traumatized.
Aterrorizado y completamente destrozado.
Completely terrorized and destroyed.
Con la ayuda de CASA pudimos lograr que Elías fuera puesto en libertad esa misma noche.
Thanks to CASA, we were able to liberate Elías that night after his detention that morning.
Después de su detención en la mañana, pero ese día cambió todo para Elías.
But that day, those more than 8 hours in detention changed Elías' life forever.
Fue un día, pero fue suficiente para destruirlo.
It was just one day, but it was enough to destroy him.
Después de ese momento, su salud empezó a deteriorarse, las condiciones terribles en su detención.
Because of the terrible conditions of his detention, his health started to disintegrate more and more.
La intimidación y el miedo no solo lo asustaron, sino que lo hicieron temer hasta su último suspiro.
The fear tactics and the intimidation made him panic until he took his last breath.
Su trauma creció y el miedo lo consumía, los ataques de su pánico, las pesadillas constantes, lo atormentaba día y noche.
The trauma that he faced, he carried every day. The fear consumed him. His panic attacks begun. The night terrors continued. It absolutely consumed him each and every night.
Falleció hace 2 meses y me dio uno. Falleció hace 2 meses y me dio unos meses después de ese día horrible en que ICE lo detuvo. Su cuerpo y su salud simplemente no pudieron aguantar más.
Elias passed away 2.5 months ago. Months after his detention and encounter with ICE, his body could just no longer sustain.
Ahí le quitó la dignidad, la salud, lo despreciaron su humanidad y eso en última instancia le costó la vida a Elías.
ICE took away his dignity, his humanity, and ultimately cost my son Elias his life.
Una detención, un día, un encuentro cruel y ahora él ya no está con nosotros.
One ICE encounter, one day of detention, now my son is no longer amongst us.
A quienes escuchen mi historia, por favor, amen a sus hijos con toda su gotita de amor. Ruegue por su misericordia, porque las acciones de ahí no solo.
To everyone who can hear my voice, I ask that you love your children. With every ounce of your being, love them each and every day. And ask God to give us strength.
Arruinan familias, también destruyen vidas y esto termina en muerte.
ICE ruins families, separates us from our loved ones, and even continues to kill us.
Mi hijo no merecía esto, nadie lo merece y hoy comparto mi historia con la esperanza de que se pueda hacer la diferencia.
My son did not deserve this. I stand here in power with you today in hopes that my story could continue to echo and make the difference. He did not deserve this.
Y que ninguna madre ni familia tenga que experimentar este dolor de perder un hijo por el odio y financiado por esta administración.
I pray and hope that no mother has to live what I have lived, lose a son by an administration that continues to sponsor hate.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Emilia. And let's together bring the spirit of Elias and say one more time, presente, presente, presente. So, Elias,
Presente, presente, presente. Elías, presente, presente, presente. Elías, presente, presente, presente.
Gracias, Emilia. And to finish this moment of power, of sacredness, and to continue to transform our pain into justice, we're going to invite our last speaker. Her name is Carolina. She represents Spaces in Action, and she'll share about her experience as an immigrant here in DC.
Give it up for Carolina. Bravo!
Lista.
El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. Soy Soy Carolina, una mujer inmigrante y madre de 2 niños nacidos aquí. Además de líder comunitaria y miembro de la organización Espacios en Acción.
I am Carolina, an immigrant woman and mother of 2 born here, as well as a community leader of members and member of Spaces in Action.
En el último año hemos sido testigos de cómo la violencia, la persecución y el arrebato de nuestros derechos se han convertido en la norma impuesta por esta administración. El miedo y la inseguridad desgarran nuestras comunidades, traumatizan a nuestros niños y nos dejan el corazón perturbado ante las imágenes de terror que el mundo entero ha presenciado.
Over the last year, we have witnessed how violence, persecution, and deprivation of our rights have become the norm imposed by this administration. Fear and insecurity tear our communities apart, traumatize our children, and leave us heartbroken by the images of terror that the whole world has witnessed.
Cuando emigré a este país por necesidad, tenía una esperanza inmensa, creyendo en esa falsa leyenda que las presentaba como el país de las libertades y las oportunidades. Sin embargo, hoy debo afirmar que la realidad en los Estados Unidos es todo lo contrario. Y me pregunto, ¿cómo es posible que en este país seres humanos que sirven a la comunidad como Renee Goods y Atlet Pretty hacer la diferencia y lo correcto les haya costado la vida?
When I migrated to this country out of necessity, I had immense hope, believing in the false legend that presented it as the land of freedom and opportunity. However, today I must say that the reality in the United States is quite the opposite, and I ask myself, how is it possible that in this country, human beings who serve the community, such as Renee Good and Alex Pretty, have paid with their lives for doing the right thing and making a difference?
Hoy estamos aquí reunidos como comunidad, no solo el dolor y luto, sino también en resistencia, amor y poder colectivo. Representamos aquellas voces que han intentado silenciar las 32 personas que el año pasado perdieron la vida bajo la custodia de ICE y las 9 personas asesinadas por ICE a sangre fría en lo que va del año. Y las más de 3,800 niños detenidos y arrancados de sus hogares y escuelas.
Today we gather here as a community not only in grief and mourning, but also in resistance, love, and collective power. We represent those voices that have been silenced, the 32 people who lost their lives in ICE custody last year, the 9 people killed in cold blood by ICE so far this year, and more than 3,800 children detained and taken away from their homes and schools.
Hoy mi exigencia es clara. Liberen a Liam y a su padre. Liam, de tan solo 5 años, fue utilizado como carnada por agentes de ICE para detener a su padre este año, que es el rostro de miles a quienes esta administración ha arrebatado su inocencia y negado el derecho a crecer en un entorno seguro, con oportunidades y un mejor futuro. Ya lleva una semana detenido.
Today my demand is clear. Free Liam and his father. Liam, only has 5 years old, was used as bait by ICE agents to detain his father. This child, who is the face of thousands whom the administration has robbed of their innocence and denied the right to grow up in a safe environment with opportunities and a better future, has now been detained for a week.
Shame. La violencia y los abusos desenfrenados de ICE contra nuestra gente se financia con nuestro dinero. Sí, las comunidades inmigrantes y indocumentados pagamos impuestos sin recibir beneficios a cambio. Por eso venimos hoy a exigir a los miembros del Senado que si les queda un poquito de humanidad y respeto por sus propias familias, voten no a la propuesta que busca otorgar 400 millones adicionales al DHS. Para que no continúen aterrorizando y asesinando y desapareciendo y violentando nuestros hogares. Ese dinero debe ser invertido en la vida y no en la muerte. Ninguna madre da a luz a sus hijos para la guerra y para que sean armas de injusticia usadas para causar daño a su vecino, hermano, compañero. Exigimos que ese dinero sea asignado en la salud para todos, en viviendas asequibles, en educación gratuita y de calidad, en programas para los ancianos. Inviertan en el pueblo, en la clase trabajadora, no en odios y mentiras inmundas para quienes están desmembrando este país.
ICE rampant violence. ¡Bravo! Eso, compañero. ICE rampant violence and abuse against our people is funded by our money. Yes, immigrant and undocumented communities pay taxes without receiving any benefits in return. That is why we are here today to demand that the members of the Senate, if they have any humanity and respect for their own families left in them, vote no on the proposal that seeks to grant an additional $700 million to DHS so that they can continue terrorizing, murdering, disappearing, and violating our homes. That money should be invested in life, not death. No mother gives birth to children for a war and for them to be weapons of injustice used to harm their neighbor, brother, or children. We demand that this money be allocated for health care for all, affordable housing, free and quality education, and programs for the elderly. Invest in the people, in the working class, not hatred, lies, and immunity for those who are tearing this country apart.
Las comunidades inmigrantes e indocumentadas llevamos años advirtiendo al pueblo estadounidense sobre lo que iba a suceder. Lo hicimos a través de nuestras historias, nuestros cuerpos, nuestro dolor, nuestra sangre y nuestra resistencia. Ahora es el momento de mantenernos unidos en una sola voz que pueda arroparnos a todos. Este dolor que sentimos como sociedad es una prueba del amor colectivo que tenemos por nuestras familias y también por nuestros vecinos, sin importar dónde hayan nacido o cómo luzcan o de qué raza sean.
Eso. Immigrant and undocumented communities have been warning the American people for years about what is going to happen. We did so through our stories, our bodies, our pain, our blood, and our resistance. Now is the time to stand together with one voice that can embrace us all. The pain we feel as a society is proof of the collective love we have for our families and also for our neighbors, regardless of where they were born or what they look like.
Los invito a que sigamos siendo activos y alzando nuestra voz en esta lucha. Nadie debería temer perder la vida por expresarse pacíficamente, por buscar un mejor futuro para sus familias, por ejercer el derecho a hablar, a protestar y a exigir justicia. Los responsables, nada de esto es una amenaza para la sociedad, por el contrario, es un fundamento. No más dinero para ICE.
No
ICE.
Más dinero para ICE.
ICE fuera de nuestra comunidad.
ICE fuera de nuestra comunidad.
DC santuario.
DC santuario. ¡Epa! So she says, I invite you to continue to be active and raise your voice in this fight. No one should fear losing their life for expressing themselves peacefully, for seeking a better future for their family, for exercising their right to speak, to protest, and to demand justice for those responsible. None of this threat to society. On the contrary, is a foundation. No more money for ICE.
No more money for ICE. No more money for ICE. No more money for ICE. ICE out of our community.
ICE out of our community.
DC santuario. sanctuary.
DC Sanctuary.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Buena, compañera. Dale.
Familia, mientras vamos a cerrar este programa, les quiero recordar de las historias y lo que escuchamos el día de hoy. As we get ready to close today's program, I want to ask you to stand up with us and remember the stories and what we heard here today. We heard the story of Muhammad's mother, who was still separated from him, brutalized by officials. Escuchamos de la historia de Muhammad, que fue separado de su madre y su madre fue brutalizada por oficiales. Escuchamos la historia de Emilia. Su hijo Elías ya no está con nosotros por ataques de ICE. We heard from Emilia, whose son Elias is no longer with us because of the terror, intimidation, and lack of humanity ICE had towards him. Escuchamos y continuamos a escuchar las historias de ocupación aquí mismito en DC. We continue to hear today and every day the terror of occupation here in DC, in our backyards in Maryland, Georgia, Virginia, Pennsylvania, and to our brothers and sisters in Minnesota, we hear you and we are here with you. Desde Virginia, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Maryland, aquí mismito en DC, los ataques continúan. Hermanos y hermanas en Minnesota, te escuchamos y estamos con ustedes. I want you to take the hand of the person next to you. Quiero que agarres la mano de la persona al lado tuyo y alces esa mano junta en un puño grande al aire. As you're holding hands, lift that hand with that fist in the air, because we are united. And despite the terror, despite the fear tactics, and despite the hate that the system continues to push against us, love and fight and unity for us all is how we will win. We are unstoppable. We are unstoppable. A better world is possible. We are